Namaste. In the nakshatra of Swati, Saturn exalts. Why? Because Swati is balance. In the sign of Libra, you will find Vishaka, Swati, and Chitra. However, the real balance is found in the nakshatra of Swati. Swati, therefore, is a highly intellectual nakshatra. And when moon falls in Swati, then the person is a born intellectual person. It is not bad to be intellectual. Through your intellectualism, you may succeed in this material world. But when it comes to spirituality, you have to go beyond intellectualism. You have to attain intelligence. And that is also possible if your head is in tune with your heart. Only then what is born is divine intelligence. So intellectualism is a poor substitute to intelligence, especially when it comes to spirituality. However, on the base level, intellectualism is always helpful because it helps you to earn your livelihood. There are many more insights that I have shared in this podcast. So let's begin. Saturn loves balance. Life is all about attaining the right balance. Never mix spirituality with sexuality. Balance the act, and your life will flow smoothly. Swati is the perfect nakshatra that thrives on attaining balance, and therefore Saturn loves Swati. And so Saturn is exalted in the nakshatra of Swati. Interestingly, Saturn exalts in Rahu's nakshatra Swati, and the same Saturn debilitates in Ketu's nakshatra Ashwini. Saturn likes Rahu and Saturn dislikes Ketu, because Ketu is against materialism, while Saturn loves all that is material, real, solid in nature. And Rahu is the driving force. Rahu is the desire that enables you to attain the material goals, although in the end there is only grief and suffering, because otherwise all rich men and women would have found lasting happiness, though the reality is something else. The rich are suffering more than the poor, So always remember that money or material success is not the answer. Swati, the real pearl. Swati, the perfect balance. Swati, the beauty of relating. A wise man always understands the depth and beauty of Swati Nakshatra. A woman born on Swati is a blessing, a goddess, and a man born on Swati is a lovely human being. Being human is the most appealing slogan for Swati Nakshatra beings. It is indeed a real pearl. Swati has always been a special nakshatra that dwells in the neighborhood of wise, intelligent men and women. It resides in a high class locality of intellectuals. It is not a nakshatra that belongs to the lower class, but to the higher class. When I say high class, I mean high values, deep understanding, and compassionate heart. Swati has all of it. Winning or success comes only when you show a certain quality, a certain class. Your words, your comments, your reactions simply show your class. And when it comes to Swati Nakshatra, the natives are quite sophisticated, having a balanced perspective towards matters of life in general. A matured native will never pass or post a comment that makes no sense or is offensive by nature. Instead, he will balance his act by choosing the right words at the right time. That's what the Western Pundits address as emotional intelligence. An emotional intelligent person always stay balanced. Balance is one word that Swati Nakshatra loves a lot. And when moon is in Swati, then the native is able to balance his life in a very good way. Natives born on Swati Nakshatra are indeed beautiful souls. They have a certain aura of intellectualism around them. They love to read books. They love to read poems. They are avid readers as well as also good writers. Swati Nakshatra is the middle ground, the actual point of manifestation of relationships, business deals, and public support. Men and women having beneficial planets in Swati Nakshatra do well in life because Swati is indeed a blessed star. A wise man always perceives Swati with high regards. Moon in Swati brings greater interest towards forming relationships and lovemaking. These natives get engaged when it comes to sex. Many men and many women with a moon in Swati try to perfect the art of lovemaking. Lovemaking is also an art, and someone as artistic as Moon in Swati knows very well how to enact the art of love making. Sex indeed is the most important subject for these natives, but they are not vulgar. They love to do sex in an artistic way, in a romantic way. Romance. Moon in Swati native is very romantic by nature. They want more and more romance in life. People in general relate the word romance with love, but the English dictionary defines the word romance as adventure. And so, when you have moon in Swati, and by chance, if you fall in love, and there is a strong yoga of love marriage in your horoscope, and there are many challenges to overcome before you marry the love of your life, then such a moon in Swati native goes all the way. He may risk his life, he may go against the whole society, he may not bother about his status because he perfectly understands the fact that when you love, you simply love. Moon in Swati is demanding in relationships and especially when it comes to sex and emotions. Swati brings emotional intelligence. Libra and moreover Swati is very much able to recognize and understand emotions in themselves and others and also are good at managing relationships. Moon in Swati precisely brings great importance to the placement of Venus in the ascendant chart. Moon in Swati simply follows the orders of Venus, and so the ultimate results depend on whether Venus is in good position or not. The nakshatra Swati rules the chest, and moon in Swati can lead to problems in chest, especially during old age. When you breathe, the breath has to go deep in your heart. But people breathe shallow because when the breath goes deep, it excites the sex center. You become more sexual. That is how many sadhak or spiritual seekers in the beginning during their spiritual penance face this common problem, that is an increase in sexuality. When you are on the path of the spiritual journey, it is a natural development because the energy is in the sex center. You just have to be more aware and conscious. The increased sexual energy will channelize on its own towards the upward direction as you remain committed towards the Master, as you remain devoted towards the compassionate Divine Master. Moon in Swati Nakshatra native is interested in forming partnerships, dealerships, negotiating, diplomacy, and socializing. Moon in Swati always is trying to appease others, and so buttering the boss to get a promotion or buttering a woman to get her is something that these natives passionately indulge in. The main reason for the miseries in their life is primarily because they live under the wrong assumption that it is only when they can make others happy that they can remain happy. The reality of the matter is that it is not that when you make others happy you will be happy. It is when you yourself are happy that you can make others happy. When you go on submitting to the demands of others, you forget the fact that demand never ends. If you give in to one demand, then the same person will come up with a second demand. And that is how you become a puppet. You lose control of yourself. You lose control over your life. You simply become a silly person who thinks that by living to the demands of others and making others happy, you will be happy. And that is indeed suicidal and dangerous. Always remember, by focusing on the outside, by making others happy, you cannot find happiness because happiness is an inside job. Moon in Swati makes you an extrovert person, a person who is too much focused on the outside. And when you depend on the outside, when outside situations drive you, your happiness is short-lived because the outside situations always keep changing. The whole message to my close followers, especially those having moon in Swati, is start focusing within, turn inwards, and realize the fact that you have the power to control your mind and not the situations on the outside. Moon in Swati simply shows that the desire has always been towards turning on. And natives do excellent in the material world. They prosper, they earn good fame, good properties. But what about happiness? What about wisdom? What about peace of mind? What about experiencing the joy within? The answer to all these questions is only found when you stop turning on and when you start turning in. And that's Ketu. Rahu will always push you to turn on. Ketu will always encourage you to turn in. The whole story of human life is caught up between Rahu, that is turn on, and Ketu, that is turn in. That is why the ancient seers have held Rahu and Ketu with high regard, because these two can either make or break your life. Reminds me of a beautiful story, the Buddha story. Once it happened, a very learned astrologer was taking a walk on the river shore when he stumbled upon certain footprints of a man. The astrologer quickly realized that these footprints are not of an ordinary man. All his life, the astrologer have been reading many scriptures, and the scriptures mention certain signs that exist in the feet of a man who rules the world, a Chakravarti, a ruler of all the 6 continents, of the whole earth. And the astrologer saw in the footprints in the wet sand on the river bank all the symbols so clearly that he could not believe his eyes. Either all his scriptures were wrong and he was wasting his life in astrology. Otherwise, how was it possible that on such a hot afternoon, in such a small dirty village, a Chakravarti would come and walk barefoot on the burning hot sand? He became very curious. He started following the footprints, and soon he came near a huge banyan tree. And beneath that tree he could see the Buddha, engrossed in deep meditation. The astrologer was taken aback. He was an intelligent being. He quickly recognized that the footprints were of Buddha. Stepping closer to Buddha, he bowed before the master and said, "I am sorry to disturb you, but I am surprised to see that your footprints clearly signify that you should be a Chakravarti, a ruler of the whole world. What are you doing here, sitting under this tree? Either all my astrology books are wrong, or I am hallucinating and you are not really here." Buddha said, "Your books are absolutely right, but there is something which belongs to no category, not even to the category of a Chakravarti. I am, but I am nobody in particular." The astrologer said, "You are puzzling me more. How can you be without being anybody in particular? You must be a god who has come to visit the earth. I can see it in your eyes." Buddha said, "I am not a god." The astrologer said, "Then you must be a Gandharva, a celestial musician." Buddha said, "No, I am not a Gandharva either." And the astrologer went on asking, "Then are you a king in disguise? Who are you? You can't be an animal. You can't be a tree. You can't be a rock. Who exactly are you?" And the answer that Buddha gave is of immense importance to understand. He said, "I am just a Buddha. I am just awareness and nothing else. And I don't belong to any category. Every category is the identification,
and I don't have any identity. How deep are the words of Buddha? He says, I am just awareness and nothing else. So touching. It is said that this wonderful meeting with the Buddha transformed the astrologer inside out, and he dropped all his knowledge and became a monk. It is said that when Buddha died, when Buddha left his body, he was the one who cried the most. Awareness comes only through the doors of Ketu. Ketu is detachment, and unless you start living in detachment, there is no possibility of bringing awareness to your being. There is no possibility of experiencing the Buddha love, the Buddha happiness. A grateful heart is the most beautiful heart, and God comes, the Guru comes seeking a man, a woman who is grateful, a person who is not demanding but loving by nature. Love never demands, ego demands, but love never. Love is happy when it is able to give something, to share something. Ego is happy when it is able to take something. The deity of Swati Nakshatra is the Vayu Putra, Lord Hanuman. By worshipping Lord Hanuman every Saturday, you will attain the blessings of this wonderful and highly engaging nakshatra, the nakshatra of Swati. Remember, you can always turn the tables around. You can always change your life. You can always raise the quality of your life. Everything is possible only when you start changing yourself. Change yourself, and to change yourself, you have to let change happen within you. And you can let change happen within you only when you surrender. When you start living your life by surrendering yourself to the Almighty Lord, to the Divine Compassionate Master. Meditate every day and remember that the journey begins with desires, that is Rahu, but liberation, moksha, is possible only when the journey progresses towards the state of desirelessness, and that's Ketu. Love to all my listeners and followers, and I humbly prostrate before the wonderful nakshatra, Swati, the real pearl. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.